What you do in the first few minutes after waking, that's who you really are. Not in theory. In truth. Because the morning decides everything. Are you the player or the pawn? The creator or the statistic? The one building the game or the one being moved by it? One choice, wake up to chaos or wake up with direction. And that choice doesn't just shape your day, it shapes you. This message isn't about routines, it's about control, about reclaiming your focus, about how a simple why each morning doesn't just change your results, it changes your level. Listen on, if you're ready to stop waking up by accident and start waking up to your own power. Every morning you make a decision whether to lead your day or let it lead you. You can wake up and scroll, react, absorb noise, get pulled into other people's agendas, and by sunset, you wonder where your day went. But it didn't vanish by accident. It was lost the moment you started without intention. The first few minutes after waking up are your point of power. That's where your rhythm forms. That's where your story begins. Start without purpose, and your day will blur. Start with a clear mission, and the day works for you. Purpose isn't decoration, it's direction. It sharpens your mind, awakens your strength, flips the switch from passive to powerful. When you rise with purpose, your thoughts don't wander, they aim. Your body doesn't resist, it moves. So ask yourself every morning, who do I choose to be today? Then let that answer guide every step you take. Purpose in the morning isn't a cute ritual, it's your ignition switch. Most people treat goals like far-off destinations, but real power lies in your daily aim. Not just where you're going in life, but why you got out of bed today. That answer fuels your energy, your focus, your fire. When you rise with purpose, your body doesn't ask to snooze. Your mind doesn't drift toward distraction. You're already in motion. That clarity lights up your system. It narrows your focus. It eliminates hesitation. Your goal isn't wallpaper, it's your wake-up call. It cuts the noise before the world can. It builds momentum before distraction strikes. And that momentum, that's how winners separate themselves from reactors. But if your first moments are soaked in scrolling, emails, noise, you're not living. You're drifting. Your mind, still soft from sleep, gets hijacked before it ever had a chance to choose. But if the first thing you do is claim your aim, everything changes. You're centered. You're grounded. You lead. And even when chaos knocks, you don't get thrown. Because your anchor is already set. That morning aim, it's your internal login. If you don't enter it, your system stays locked. But once you do, discipline, clarity, stamina all come online. You want less noise? Then stop reaching for answers out there. Choose your direction early and become the answer yourself. If you don't start with purpose, you'll end up serving someone else's. The world doesn't wait. If you don't wake up with your own direction, you'll get swept into someone else's. Their plans, their deadlines, their priorities. And suddenly, your energy is working for their dream, not yours. Drifting through messages, bouncing between tasks, exhausted but producing nothing of their own. But a person who begins with purpose, they're sharp. They say no without guilt. They don't apologize for protecting their priorities. They've already decided, this is what matters today, and that's where I'm going. Your impact doesn't begin on stage. It begins in how you wake up. Whether you remember what you're here for, whether you ask yourself, what's my priority today? That's how you guard your energy, and how you earn a day that leaves you fulfilled, not just tired. While starting your day with purpose is your secret advantage in a distracted world. Everyone's in a hurry, but not everyone knows why. They chase alarms, fires, lists, deadlines. But real breakthroughs don't go to the fastest, they go to the most focused. This isn't about productivity, it's about power, inner power. When you start with purpose, your mind doesn't scatter, your strength doesn't leak. You're not chasing energy, it's already inside you. Morning purpose is a compass, a stabilizer, a reminder you're not here by accident. You're here to build. You're here to move with meaning. And every minute now flows into something that matters. Because the one who starts with purpose may not do everything, but they always do the right thing. And that is real strength. Purpose is what structures your time and your power. Without a clear aim, your day crumbles. You stay busy, but by nightfall you feel empty. Because value doesn't come from motion, it comes from meaningful direction. And purpose is the filter that separates what matters from what doesn't. Ask yourself each morning, what's my main goal today? Everything else becomes either a tool or a distraction. That's how your focus sharpens. Your time becomes guarded. Your energy stops scattering and starts driving. People don't get tired from work. They burn out from being scattered, lost in tasks that don't lead anywhere. By evening, they feel like they've done something, but nothing has truly changed. Why? Because they had no purpose anchoring their day. Purpose disciplines harder than any to-do list. It calls you out. That's not your path. That's not your priority. Stay with your mission. When you start with purpose, you're already ahead. You're not just moving. You're moving where it counts. The strength of your day is measured by the strength of your morning intent. Every day holds potential. But that potential turns into power only if you activate it early. Your impact isn't based on how many hours you have. It's about the energy you bring into the first few minutes. Morning intent is more than a mindset, it's your first command. When it's sharp, solid, and owned, your entire day orbits around it. But if it's vague or missing, you become reactive. You don't shape the day, you just survive it. Real intent says, this day has meaning. This task matters. This energy is mine. That choice sets your rhythm and clears space for what matters. Many start their mornings in a blur and end with blurry results. But the person who takes 3 minutes in silence, writes their focus, speaks it out loud, they step into a different gear because they gave themselves a mission. And now the world moves to their tempo, not the other way around. Intent is your grip on the wheel. Without it, you drift. With it, you lead. Yes, every day is either for you or against you. There are no neutral days. Each one is either an investment or a loss. The difference, it's not how much you got done. It's the direction you moved in. Did it take you closer to your purpose or pull you into clutter? Wake up and slide into autopilot, and you'll get autopilot results. Fuzzy, shallow, hollow. But if you start with a goal, even the smallest actions line up into progress. You don't just have a task list. You've got a strategy. This isn't about giant wins every day. It's about this. Today, I know what I'm doing. My time means something. My focus isn't for sale. I serve my mission, not the noise. Live each day with purpose, and you'll stay ahead. You won't waste hours. You'll stack days that count. And 365 days that count. That's not just a year. That's a level most never reach. Your day either builds you or breaks you. The choice is made each morning, and the choice is always yours. Purpose is a weapon, but only if you know how to wield it. Saying I have a goal isn't enough, because purpose isn't decoration, it's a blade. And if you don't know how to handle it, it becomes a burden. Purpose doesn't work on its own. It works when you turn it into motion. You can have ambition, but if you can't convert it into a morning focus, a clear target, a single task, it remains a fantasy. And the world doesn't move for fantasies. It moves for follow-through. Using purpose well means this. Each morning, shrink the gap between vision and action. Don't wait for stars to align. Ask, what small move today gets me closer? Then do it, without hesitation. That's how purpose shifts from a dream to a breakthrough tool. No longer just in your head. It's in your routines, your plans, your decisions. That's when it becomes real. Purpose is a weapon, but only in the hands of someone who picks it up every morning. Your morning purpose is a personal pact between you and the world is full of people who keep promises to others and break everyone to themselves. They show up on time for meetings, but show up late to their own life. They keep their word for clients, for bosses, for family, but not for their own dream. That's why they feel powerless, because real power begins the moment you keep your morning promise to yourself. When you wake and name your goal, you're signing a contract. Today I choose this. I say no to distractions. I pour myself into what matters. That's not a to-do. That's a stance. Not just motivation, identity. Because you're not just doing something. You're becoming someone. The person who sets purpose daily becomes honest with themselves. It's not always easy, but it's real. And from that realness comes control, trust, momentum, self-respect, and the most important thing, the feeling that you are finally driving your own life. That morning contract, it's your anchor. Keep it, and you start believing in yourself again. And that's not just a habit, that's a whole new life. There are two ways to wake up. One is automatic. You grab your phone, get pulled into the noise, and start reacting. The other is intentional. You open your eyes and ask, why am I here? What matters most today? That second one, it changes everything. Because now you're not just awake, you're aligned. Without a morning goal, you become a spectator. You watch, respond, adapt. But with a clear intention, you become the author of your day. You choose where your energy flows, what earns your focus, how you'll move through your hours. This isn't about productivity, it's about direction. When you know where you're going, every action carries meaning. Even if you don't do everything, the right thing gets done. Because you aimed with precision, not busyness. You'll never build anything great if your mornings start without clarity. Power isn't in doing more. Power is in doing what matters. Morning purpose isn't a ritual, it's your steering wheel. Without it, you're just drifting. Start with the essential, and your day will follow your lead. Most people wake up and dive into noise. Emails, fires, schedules, everyone else's problems. By noon, they're exhausted. But it's not the work that wears them down, it's the lack of ownership. They didn't shape their day. They just survived it. But the one who begins with what matters most rewrites the whole script. Handle your key task first, and the rest of the day bends around it. Even if chaos shows up later, you already scored the win. That fact shifts your energy, your confidence, your rhythm. The rule is simple. Don't rush, aim. The first 60 minutes determine the next 10 hours. When the most important thing is done, the rest gets easier. You're not proving your worth. You're already in motion. This isn't about controlling everything. It's about locking in one thing and letting that anchor the rest. Start with what matters. Let everything else fall in line. What you do first is who you become. Your first thought, your first move, your first choice after waking, they aren't small. They build identity. Every morning, you either reinforce who you want to be or you lose yourself in someone else's agenda. If you check notifications first, you're saying, my focus belongs to the world. If you scroll headlines, you're saying, my emotions follow the news. But if you start with purpose, with action, with thought, you've chosen yourself. Each morning is a window, a short one, and in that window, you shape the version of you who'll walk through the day. It closes fast in 30 to 60 minutes. Use it and your day aligns. Lose it and someone else steers your ship. The question isn't, will you be active today? The question is, whose agenda will you be serving? Choose yourself first, not from ego, but from responsibility. Because only then will you live as a leader, not a follower. If you don't command your morning, you don't command your life. You can't lead a business, build relationships, or grow your mind if you can't lead your morning. Because that's where the real decision gets made. Are you creating your day or just drifting through it? This isn't about waking up early. It's about owning your focus from the first breath. Without that control, you're in reaction mode. And reaction always means one thing. Someone else's plan is running your life. Even the best goal fades fast if you don't defend it with action the moment you wake up. But when you seize focus first, the energy shifts. Your day is no longer chaos. Your state is no longer scattered. You build a foundation before the world barged in. Owning your morning gives you space for silence, for clarity, for real choices. And in a world that runs on noise, that space is your edge. Don't wait to lead your life. Start with what's in reach. Lead your morning. The rest will follow. Your morning goal is your personal center of gravity. Everything that moves needs a center. Planes, rockets, people. Without it, balance is lost. And each morning, that center is either built or broken. It forms through one question, what truly matters today? Skip that question, and you'll get pulled in every direction. One message, and you're in someone else's crisis. One notification, and you're off track. One headline, and your emotions spiral. No center, you're available to everyone. But the moment you declare your goal, feel it, and fix it in place, you create gravity. And now everything around you either aligns or fades, because you've set a force others can't ignore. A force that guides or shields depending on what's needed. This inner center, it's yours. It doesn't move with the weather or the news or people's moods. That's why it's powerful. Because when the world shakes, you don't. You're anchored. Start with purpose, and the day will orbit around you, not the other way around. Everything big starts with something small, and your first choice of the day, it isn't minor. It's the switch that tells your body and mind, we're in the game, or we're drifting again. That one decision triggers a domino effect through everything that follows. Wake up and reach for your phone? You've surrendered control. Wake up and remember your mission? You've claimed your focus, and that focus, like the first move in a dance, sets the rhythm for everything else. The mind craves patterns. Choose yourself first thing in the morning, and it gets easier to keep choosing yourself all day. Choose discipline at sunrise, and you're less likely to fall apart later. Start with purpose, and you move with meaning. Chaos never comes all at once. It starts with one skip decision, one no big deal, one just today. But order? That starts with one yes. Today I hold the line. Your day isn't random, it's a chain. And the first link is always your morning. You can be busy, active, even productive, and still lose the day. Because the day is only yours if it reflects who you're becoming, if it serves your vision, if it moves you in the direction you chose, and that starts with one thing, morning focus. Without it, the day becomes a blur. You bounce from task to task, drowning in distractions. And by nightfall, you wonder when you lost yourself and where. Morning focus is like tuning a string. Get it right, your day sings. Miss it, and the whole thing feels off. Even the best opportunities fall flat when your aim is vague. The worst kind of exhaustion, it's not physical. It's the fatigue that comes from never really showing up in your own day. No coffee or break can fix that, because there was nothing real to reset. Focus is your anchor. Drop it right, and nothing can knock you off course. Most people walk past their own power every morning. They've got ideas, energy, vision, but it's all locked up because they haven't used the key, and that key is a morning goal. Not vague, not distant, but specific, real, alive. For today, say your goal out loud. Write it down. Own it. Suddenly a new version of you switches on. One that moves with clarity. That doesn't hesitate. That doesn't wonder where to start, because it already has. Without a password, your system stays locked. But plug it in, and everything powers up. Purpose, energy, direction. The truth is, most people live with the lights off. Not because they lack strength, but because they forget to flip the switch. They never say, here's what I'm building today. They never activate the part of themselves that leads. Your power isn't luck, it's a system. And that system begins, not with caffeine or meetings, but with a goal that turns on your true self. Every morning, you choose one of two roles, builder or victim of the day. And this choice doesn't happen at work, or in meetings, or in your bank account. It happens the moment you wake up. Not with words, but with how you start. The builder wakes up, thinking, I create. Even when it's hard, even without certainty. I show up. They don't wait, they lead. They don't check the world, they set the agenda. And that shapes more than a day, it shapes a person. The victim wakes up, wondering, what's going to hit me today? They don't design, they defend. They don't direct energy, they dodge the day, and everything that follows belongs to someone else's plan. The difference isn't talent or IQ, it's posture. And you decide that posture before sunrise, in silence, alone, with one decision. This may sound bold, but it's truth. Your morning focus doesn't just shape your day, it shapes your destiny. One focused morning leads to a focused day. That day builds a rhythm for the week. Weeks form your months. Months define your year. And your year, it becomes your life. Wake up aimless. Live aimless. But wake up asking, who am I today? What matters most? And you cast a vote for the future you want to build. Each of those votes compounds. They form the architecture of someone unshakable. While others wake to chaos, you wake to clarity. While they react, you create. And suddenly, you're no longer a piece on the board. You're the one setting the game. No, it won't be perfect. But every focused morning is another brick in the foundation. And one day, you'll look back and realize life doesn't happen to you anymore. You direct it, because destiny doesn't live in big events. It lives in the ritual of conscious presence, repeated every morning. In a world where the rules change daily, where yesterday's winds lose their shine, and the pace crushes even the toughest, you need one constant, not a tactic, not a tool, a signal, a standard, a flag you plant before you step into the storm. That flag is your morning. When everything around you pulls you in every direction, your morning grounds you. It reminds you who you are, why you're here, where you're going. And even if it's just 10 minutes, that moment changes everything. You don't walk into the day by accident. You walk in with a mark. That flag isn't decoration, it's declaration. To yourself and the world, I act with intent. I carry direction. I don't get lost in the noise. And because you raised it in the morning, the day already bends to your logic. Every great person had a morning ritual because they knew there is no stability in chaos. Stability starts within, and it starts with the first decision. Plant your flag every day. Let the world know you're not drifting, you're leading. Everyone's waiting for a breakthrough, a life-altering moment. But the truth, the biggest breakthroughs begin with the smallest decisions, and none is smaller or bigger than how you begin your day. Greatness doesn't mean loud. Greatness means aligned, and when the first minutes of your morning are soaked in purpose, your whole day follows. Like an arrow drawn tight and let go. The tighter the start, the straighter the flight. Most people start scattered, fuzzy, out of step, and then wonder why everything falls apart. But your day is a ship. If the course isn't set in the first minutes, it's already too late. Every storm just pushes you further off track. But if you start with I know where I'm going, I know what matters, I won't scatter today, then you've set an anchor, not motivation, conviction. Every achievement you admire didn't start in spotlight. It started in silence, when no one was watching, but someone had already chosen direction. Everyone wants control, wants to feel that life's in their hands. But that kind of power isn't handed out. It's built from the first hour after waking. That's where inner leadership is forged. When you resist the urge to scroll, you get stronger than your laziness. When you put down the phone and pick up your notebook, you rise above chaos. When you follow your decision instead of your mood, you own the day. The person who owns the morning is no longer a passenger. They don't complain about the world because they already command themselves. And that kind of certainty doesn't come from books. It comes from daily rep, from showing up and not losing yourself, but rebuilding yourself. But rebuilding yourself. But controlled reality isn't about managing the world. It's about managing direction. When the world spins, and your morning is the gym for that strength. No audience, no applause, just you and your system. And if your system can handle the first hour, it can handle anything. Everything you want to become. The confidence, the strength, the calm, the clarity won't show up by surprise. You build it, and the best place to build it, not the gym, not the office, right there in your morning, in the first few minutes, in the space where you rehearse the future you. When you sit in silence and set your aim, that's the act. I don't live by chance. I craft myself. And every time you rehearse this, the old version fades. The new one takes shape. Your thoughts, your moves, your reactions, no longer on autopilot. They're formed. You're not just imagining who you could be, you're experiencing it. Your morning is a training ground for identity, not for posts, not for praise, but for the real deep grounded you. No one sees it, but it's what changes everything. Start training that version from the very first minute. Success isn't just what you do, it's how you prepare to do it. Strategy begins before the game. Like a warrior readies for battle before the first shot. You prepare your win before the world even sees you. And that early prep, that's your edge. The first minutes after waking, that's where victory begins. If you rise and create space, you've already won. If you avoid the scroll, the rush, The demands. You're ahead of 90% of the world. Most are running without a map. You're already locked in. It's like hitting the target before the others even knew there was a competition. That edge can't be bought. It has to be built. Day by day. Morning by morning. No fanfare. No noise. Just that deep awareness. I shape myself before the world tells me who to be. So when the battle begins, you're not caught off guard. You walk in ready. Not because you hoped. Because you trained. You don't arrive by accident. You arrive with intention.